So Andrew McCabe came out today with more stunning revelations. He was the former acting director of the FBI, fired by Donald Trump a day before his pension would have fully materialized. He's got a book coming out, and he did an interview with Scott Pelley at 60 Minutes, and in there are some bombshells. So Pelley explains what happened in the interview. He says, there were meetings at the Justice Department at which it was discussed whether the vice president and a majority of the cabinet could be brought together to remove the president of the United States under the 25th Amendment. Wow. So some of this we had heard about from a New York Times story in September, but of course everybody denied because they didn't want to be fired. But their denials were not full denials, and it was clear from what had happened back then that something along these lines had happened, and now McCabe tells the whole story that in fact it did happen. In fact, people at the Justice Department apparently did a check of the cabinet officials. They didn't go talk to them, but they did an internal count of who they thought at the time might vote against Trump and with Trump to keep him in office. And the 25th Amendment is if the president is not mentally capable of serving. Now that's pretty damning that they even considered that, but I think they should have considered that. I'll give you some tweets from Donald Trump to give you a sense of why I think that would have been a logical move. One of the things they were concerned about was that the president had fired James Comey, and then he came out and said he fired him because of the Russia investigation. So this was in the 8 days between Comey being fired and a special prosecutor being appointed, which wound up being Robert Mueller. So let's give you more on Pelley's description here. He said, in the highest levels of American law enforcement, we're trying to figure out what to do with the president. Now conservatives will see that and go, aha, the deep state. And other people will look at it and go, my God, the Justice Department, which by the way is filled with Republicans, were looking around going, including Republican appointees like Rod Rosenstein, who is Trump's appointee and is deputy attorney general, were going, what should we do with the president? Is he so mentally unstable that we should think about removing him from office? That's an amazing conversation, and one that they were right to have, and I think we should still have. So Rosenstein later, when that was revealed, had to say, no, I mean, maybe I talked about the 25th Amendment, but I was, it was not a serious conversation. And in fact, he had a denial about talking about the 25th Amendment. When he came to the other thing that was revealed earlier, which was that Rosenstein considered wearing a wire when talking to the president to see if he can have Trump say the things that he normally says that appear to be obstruction of justice and wildly illegal activities be caught on tape. Rosenstein said, I was just joking when he was discovered. Of course, I didn't really mean it. And McCabe says, no, he was not joking. McCabe says, no, it came up more than once, and it was so serious that he took it to the lawyers at the FBI to discuss it. So apparently it was very, very real. And McCabe went on to say, I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion, that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed or vanished in the night without a trace. Because he began to be concerned that Donald Trump was going to fire him as well and fire anyone who would investigate Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was also acting erratically. And so after he fired Comey, Trump apparently called McCabe and said, okay, I want to make sure that he didn't get on a government plane to come back from LA, which is where he was, and found out the news, back to DC. And McCabe said, no, he's on the plane. First of all, I asked security, and security said it's still a security issue that he should go onto that plane with the rest of the agents and other FBI officials that are on there. Saying, well, the plane was taking off anyway, and he had a seat on the plane, and so I made the decision that he should be on the plane. Apparently Trump insisted 5 to 7 times, don't have Comey go on the plane. And McCabe's like, he's on the plane. I already made the decision. I don't know what you want me to do. But Trump, of course, is petulant and unstable, so he kept insisting. And then McCabe came to realize through a series of conversations with Donald Trump, oh my God, this guy might be doing obstruction of justice. I have to make sure I start these cases immediately so he can't cover it up if there's a crime. Investigations are not conclusions, they're investigations, and that's what he started. So this explains what those two were. McCabe also revealed he had opened 2 investigations into Trump in the days after Comey's firing. One sought to determine whether Trump obstructed justice when firing Comey, and the other was a counterintelligence investigation to determine whether Trump won the 2016 election with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage, McCabe said. So now those are two different investigations, and they were both folded into the Robert Mueller special counsel investigation. So they obviously exist today, and that is what has got Donald Trump so worried. Now, I want to go back to what I think is actually the most important point, because you've heard plenty about the investigations. But how unstable is the president, and should they consider the 25th Amendment? Well, one of the things that he did, I mean, there are thousands, and they're all public, and you can see them, and there are also private ones. But McCabe explains some of the private ones. Apparently, he called McCabe in an apparent attempt to intimidate him and started asking him about his wife. His wife had run for a state Senate seat back in 2015, and she had lost. But Trump was obsessed with the fact that she took money from a PAC that also helped Hillary Clinton. Whether that was in any way coordinated with Hillary Clinton all the way back in 2015 is a different question. And Trump later, and as you'll see in some of his tweets, became obsessed with the idea that that McCabe worked on the Hillary case at the FBI when they were looking into her private emails, and that she set up a private server for those emails. Actually, they're public emails in a sense because she was a government official. But McCabe never worked on that case, but it didn't matter. So Trump in this phone call kept bringing up his wife, and he's like, "Oh yeah, how's she doing now that she lost?" He's like, "She's doing fine. She's working in an emergency room and helping kids there." And then Trump at the end of the call said, "Yeah, that must have been really tough to lose, to be a loser." What a weirdo. What an incredibly strange, petulant bully, and a guy who is not emotionally or mentally stable. Now, McCabe comes out and makes this case, and Trump, instead of saying, "Oh, no, 25th Amendment, no, I'm not crazy, you must be crazy. Look at how rationally I'm going to respond to this, and I'm in full control of my faculties." Does he do that? No, of course not. He goes on Twitter and rages. So he writes today in response, "Disgraced FBI acting director Andrew McCabe pretends to be a poor little angel, when in fact he was a big part of the crooked Hillary scandal and the Russia hoax, a puppet for leaking James Comey. Inspector General report on McCabe was devastating, part of quote insurance policy in case I won. Many of the top FBI brass were fired, forced to leave, or left. McCabe's wife received big dollars." Those are all in caps. "From Clinton people for her campaign. He gave Hillary a pass." Again, not at all true, totally false. "McCabe is a disgrace to the FBI and a disgrace to our country. Make America great again." Does that sound like a mentally stable person? Does that sound like a 72-year-old? Does that sound like an adult? Does that sound like a president? What president? I mean, I know we've gotten used to it because it's been 2 years of this nonstop insanity. But that is not a mentally stable person. A crooked Hillary, leaking Comey, poor little angel. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy's out of control. And he has access to nuclear weapons. He's a danger to himself, to the country, and to the world. I believe that they should use the 25th Amendment. I believed it then, I believe it today. And look, in case you weren't clear, I mean, I'm gonna go back. I can go back to any one of thousands of tweets that prove it. But I'm gonna go back to my favorites here. Remember when he tweeted this? "Actually, throughout my life, my two greatest assets have been mental stability and being like really smart. Crooked Hillary Clinton also played these cards very hard, and as everyone knows, went down in flames. I went from very successful businessman to top TV star to president of the United States on my first try. I think that would qualify as not smart, but genius, and a very stable genius at that." What kind of lunatic writes that? As I've said before, if somebody walks up to you at a bar and says, "You know, there's two things I'm well known for, being mentally stable and like a smart person," you don't walk out of the bar, you run out of the bar, because that guy's gonna do damage to somebody. That guy is the most powerful person on earth right now. He's the president of the United States. No one who's mentally stable brags about how one of the top qualities in their life is being mentally stable. That's the lowest bar on the planet. That's supposed to be a given. But with Trump, even he knows it's not a given. It's something he thinks he has to prove to others because he hasn't even proved it to himself. The guy is dangerously unstable. Do the 25th Amendment, do it now. I know they won't, but they should. The emperor has no mind. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.